Hello there my dear friends, and welcome back to another Star Wars video. It is I coming at you once again, your favourite galactic hostess, Star Wars Meg, and today we're going to be talking about the most insane Star Wars prequel news of 2025 so far. Jar Jar Binks is about to make a return, and Lucasfilm might be alluding to a huge Grogu connection, something which I speculated about following season 3, but this is the strongest indication they're going to bring Jar Jar into the Mandoverse. What am I talking about? This past weekend was New York Comic Con 2025, and Lucasfilm's publishing panel did not disappoint. I wasn't expecting much, but I have to give them credit, they really delivered. They revealed upcoming titles from most of the major eras, the High Republic, the prequel trilogy, the Age of the Empire, and of course, the sequel trilogy. I'll come onto all of this in just a moment, but I first want to focus on the most important of all of this weekend's reveals, the return of Jar Jar Binks. It's a one-shot comic co-written by Ahmed himself, the man who plays both Jar Jar Binks in the prequel trilogy and Kelleran Beq, and at one point in the comic, both characters have to team up. Now here is the most important part. Ahmed teases that the comic is going to explore Jar Jar during the early rebellion, so at least part of the comic is set after Revenge of the Sith. Do you see where I'm going with this? If Jar Jar Binks, who is from Naboo, is part of the early rebellion, and he was good friends with Kelleran Beq, because Kelleran rescued Grogu from Order 66 with the help of the Naboo Guard, is there a chance Jar Jar is part of Grogu's rescue? Is the controversial Gungan going to help Kelleran Beq get the child to the underground Jedi path? And if so, is there a chance, either in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, or if the show returns to Disney Plus, that we see Jar Jar in the remainder of Grogu's Order 66 flashback, which we never saw the end of? It was left open-ended. Kelleran said he was going to take Grogu to some of his friends. What if the disgraced Senator Jar Jar Binks is there to welcome them? And the reason he's working for the rebellion is because he's so ashamed that he was the one who paved the way for Palpatine's rise. But here's a different perspective. Let's say this comic and the story does tie to Grogu and Order 66. There is a chance they're doing this in comic form, so they don't have to do it in live action. If Jon Favreau knows the show is not coming back, if they're set on doing the movies, and the Mandalorian and Grogu doesn't have any flashbacks, then this comic becomes way more than just a one-off Jar Jar Binks story. They're killing two birds with one stone. Now another interesting question about this comic is if some of it is confirmed to be set after the prequel trilogy, are they going to alter or retcon what's already established about Jar Jar Binks after episode 3? As we know from the Aftermath trilogy, he was once again exiled by the Gungans and was a street performer on Naboo, but that's much further down the timeline, that's after the Empire falls, whereas this comic, I presume, is going to deal with the end of the Clone Wars and the rise of the Empire. But I'm sure during this time, in 19 BBY, Jar Jar still faced some backlash and some scrutiny, but it's years before the New Republic, and years before his fate as a street performer, like in Chuck Wendig's Empire's End. But there are prequel fans calling upon this story to be retconned. It was written back in 2017, during a period of time where Lucasfilm was avoiding the prequel trilogy. They were trying to focus on the sequels, the OT characters, and they got the impression that everyone hated the prequel trilogy and they were trying to diminish it. But now that episodes 1 to 3 are seeing a renaissance, the Clone Wars Season 7, The Bad Batch, Kenobi, Andor, characters in Ahsoka, maybe it's time for Lucasfilm to reevaluate the canonicity of certain books. I mean, at this point, so much of the Aftermath trilogy has already been retconned. In the comics, in The Bad Batch, with Cutler Quain, they made changes to Cobb Vanth, Mos Pelgo, and so I think they should just say that Aftermath is part of Legends, and with a character as significant as Jar Jar Binks, considering fan opinion of him has been changing, maybe it'd be best if they allowed someone like Jon Favreau to write their own version of Jar Jar Binks for The Mandalorian. Again, just to clarify, if it's a flashback, nothing in the Aftermath trilogy has to change. If it's in the present day, during the New Republic, and Jar Jar Binks is anything but a street performer, maybe it's time for an official Jar Jar canon update. I really am curious to see how fans would respond. Jar Jar was a very hated character back in the day, but by and large, Star Wars fans were over the moon to see the return of Ahmed in 2023 in Mando. Can the same be said about the character of Jar Jar? I imagine Star Wars fans are divided on this. So moving on to our next big reveal, my friends, at a time where there is a lot of emphasis on the sequel trilogy, There is a brand new canon book set in between episodes 8 and 9 that's going to show Leia training Rey, because by the start of episode 9, Rey called her master. Now, here's the problem. They've gone ahead and titled this book Star Wars Legacy. Not only is there an expanded universe series by the same name by Dark Horse Comics, they probably should have named this book after something that relates to one of these two characters. Star Wars Legacy is very broad. Now, in response to this specific announcement, I've noticed a sharp divide online. There are some sequel fans, Rey fans, some of them Rey lows, who can't wait to dive into this. They've been celebrating it, they're so excited. On the other end, there are fans saying, well, what's the point? Why does Lucasfilm keep insisting on pushing the Rey stuff? Are there even enough Star Wars fans interested in reading this book? Was it worth even releasing in the first place? And I suppose from that perspective, the real kicker is this. If Lucasfilm is set in stone on making more sequel content, why can't it be set post episode 9? There is a Finn book coming soon which is after Rise, but why so many books set in between episodes 8 and 9? Here's a tweet from a fellow content creator that puts this argument best. Maybe it will be good, but Legacy has all the hallmarks of most canon slop novels. We know the start and end points for the characters, so nothing major or surprising can happen. It also can't have big implications because of future stories with Rey. Another good point is that these books tend to explain things that didn't need to be explained. I personally think the worst things about these kinds of novels is the first point. If it's between two movies, the author is super limited, and there is only so much they can do within the scope of episodes 8 and 9. They can't derail, they can't do anything too daring, and they can't break canon. They have very strict guidelines, and so as a prospective reader, that makes novels like these a bit less appealing. There is no element of surprise. And this is the reason I like a suggestion I heard the other day. Maybe it's time for Lucasfilm under Disney to make more expanded universe, continue Star Wars Legends continuity. If they play their cards right, there would be an enormous appetite for it. It's why so many fans want a What If show. Other than Star Wars Visions, as far as Disney Star Wars goes, there has been very little in the way of serious hypotheticals. My view on this book is pretty straightforward. If you're into this stuff, I'm happy for you. I hope this book is good. The sequel era is not my cup of tea, but I understand that to many, it is, and I never like to yuck someone's yum. So if this is for you, I hope you have a blast. Another controversial Star Wars book announcement is this. Eyes Like Stars, an upcoming young adult romance, the first in the galaxy far away. And I'll be completely honest, I'm not the target demographic for this, and if it wasn't for this little banner at the bottom of the cover, a Star Wars romance novel, I would never know this was set in the Star Wars universe. I guess there are TIE fighters at the top, but this is certainly a big leap in genre. Lucasfilm have also announced some new visual guides and new art of books. We are getting the art of the Mandalorian and Grogu in April of 2026, so just before the movie drops. And it also includes art from the Book of Boba Fett. But the most exciting one to my mind is the art of Andor. Now with all of these announcements, there is obviously going to be stuff that interests you and stuff that doesn't. But what do you guys think? Are you excited by any of these announcements? Share your thoughts in the comments down below.